Welcome, everyone. It's Monday morning once again, the last Monday in November. How crazy is that? We are coming up on December 2020. The year that we all thought would never end is finally coming to an end. And I'm happy to be here with you all again after a holiday weekend. Hopefully your turkey grogginess is worn off. And if you're like me, you're getting back into work today. So we're going to set you right with some positivity, some motivation. I got an awesome guest and we'll get into that. But before I do, some housekeeping, right? Make sure you join us every Monday through the end of 2020. We'll be doing this live show. And if you also haven't yet, go to milesbiggs.com to check out my TED Talk, which went up last month, and also my book, both called Unseen Work. Would love it if you guys took a look at those. And of course, Relish the Journey, my podcast is still kicking it with 2 episodes every week. So you can check that out as well. And today, as always, we're going to be going over some good news stories. I got some good ones today. Also, some my list of top 5 Christmas lists. My list of top 5 Christmas movies. It's coming at you. I got my silly dad jokes, weekly resources, and weekly challenges. So before we do all that, we are going to welcome into the stream a gentleman by the name of Caz Russell. He's hanging out in the green room right now. I met Caz, must be like 3 years ago at this point. Did some work together in my previous life in housing. He came and spoke to an event that I was hosting and did an awesome job, and we've kept in touch ever since. And we're going to chat with Caz about everything he's got going on. He's going to join me for these good news segments, and we'll get his 2 cents. So without further ado, here he is joining us. Caz, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for the wonderful invite.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you could join me. It's a rare person that's willing to jump on a live video stream at 7:30 in the morning. A lot of people are still rolling out of bed, so I appreciate you being here.
How you been? It's an honor to be here this morning.
All right, so I'm going to warm you up, Caz, and the audience up with one of my silly jokes here. And in the theme of Thanksgiving, what did the turkey say to the computer? No guess? Ready? I'm going to do my best turkey impression. Go, 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 go. That's what the turkey said. So there you go. My cringeworthy joke, Caz. What do you think?
I like good jokes that celebrate the holidays, and plus the ones that can say like, huh?
Yeah, you're very gracious. Thank you. So before we get into you, Caz, I'm going to roll through these good news segments, and I'm going to share my screen here. One thing I was doing, I don't know about you, over Thanksgiving was I was watching a lot of Christmas movies, right? And I've got a 3-year-old, and so we enjoy sharing with him some of our holiday favorites. And I thought that could be a cool segment here. So, can you see it okay? All right. These are my top 5. You can have yours. I'll have you weigh in on what you think. But my first one, number 5, I watched this again for the first time in like 5 years yesterday. But the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, where he knocks Santa off a ladder and then he becomes Santa Claus, absolutely classic. Have you seen this one?
Yes. Tim Allen makes you smile just looking at him.
Yeah. Number 4, one of the old school claymation ones, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Land of Misfit Toys. I love this one. One of my favorite lines is the one the guy's like, I'm a water gun that squirts jelly. It just makes me laugh. And my son says he calls this Rudolph the Roof-Nosed Reindeer instead of Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is funny. Running around the house going, Rudolph the Roof. It's cute. Number 3, This Christmas. This one, I just love the music in this one. Chris Brown's in it. He's an awesome singer. Family dynamics are funny. I think we all have our family dynamics, but I love this one. I watched this on, I think it was on Disney Plus had this. So I was streaming that over the weekend. Then, of course, you got to have this one in here. Irving Berlin's White Christmas. Absolute classic with Bing Crosby. And my top one, if you could watch this movie and not cry, I challenge whether or not you have a soul. This is a great movie at the end when he's the richest man, surrounded by all his friends. It's one of my favorites. What's your favorite, Caz? What's your favorite Christmas movie?
I like Elf.
Elf, nice.
Yeah.
Elf is a good one.
I'm an old Saturday Night Live fan, and so as they came through, it doesn't seem the actors don't seem to be leaving a legacy like some of the earlier ones. But Will Ferrell definitely has got that slapstick, old-fashioned kind of
Yeah,
comedy.
Yeah, and who doesn't love some of those scenes, right? Santa, I know him when he's screaming at the top of his lungs. The crazy spaghetti he's eating covered with candy and maple syrup, it just makes you laugh.
And every so often, James Caan's in a movie, and he always leaves a lasting, like the fall guy. He's always the second, what do they call that, supporting actor, and he does it so well.
Yeah, totally. Well, going from corny joke to Christmas movies into some of the good news that everybody was asking for, I found this cool story where a stranger paid for a bunch of groceries for people. I thought this was timely with Thanksgiving, and let me pull it into the stream here. But here is the headline, right? Mom pays for multiple strangers' groceries on a whim, saying she just wanted to bring smiles to people's faces. So in this article, it's one of those classics. You hear it where somebody's in the grocery store, and it's almost like the paying it forward in the Starbucks line, right? Where someone buys the coffee and the coffee. She just decided she was going to buy everybody's groceries, which was really cool. And I think this is a simple reminder for people that you don't have to do something totally outlandish, extravagant to have a huge impact on people's day, especially at the holidays. Just, buying a $20 turkey for somebody is just going to leave a huge impression on their day. And it literally makes the headlines when somebody does it. So I thought that was a great story. And I'll post this in the comments. You guys can read the whole thing after we're done. Have you ever seen that happen in the grocery store, Caz? Somebody just paying for those groceries?
Absolutely. And my wife and I like to do that every year for Christmas. And it's very rewarding when you give to others, and it's not about exorbitant item. It's just a matter of helping them from what they need. So if it's groceries, fine. If it's something else, clothing, it's fine. But it's really about giving, and that's really the payback there in the giving is really a leadership principle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it is. I did it once personally where I was in line. I was buying stuff for my holiday. I think it was like the day before Thanksgiving. I forget. It was years ago. And I was going in. I was buying like aluminum foil and like a 2-liter bottle of soda, like just really simple things. And the guy in front of me had, a turkey and like the trimmings and, not a whole lot extravagant. It was just enough for a small Thanksgiving meal. And he's literally like counting change to try to pay for it, and it was coming up short. And you could see him just like trying to figure out and rationalize what is he going to take off that conveyor belt, right? And I think the total was like $50. And I was just like, hey, listen, I'm getting these 3 things here. Just put his on mine. Like, it's not a big deal. And you would have thought I paid off the guy's mortgage. I mean, he was blown away. He started crying. And so it's definitely don't think we can ever underestimate the power something like a small action like that has. We got some comments rolling in. I'll just put these in. I'll show you. I don't think I told you this, Caz, but got Jerry Freer coming in, fellow TEDx speaker of mine from Williamsport, saying White Christmas. So I guess he agreed with that movie choice. Thanks for watching, Jerry. And then my sister Danielle here saying that the Santa Claus should have been higher on my list. So, sorry for letting you down, Danielle. You could comment in the comments with your list of top 5. Right? We'll get a little debate going. What is the best Christmas movie? That's fun. So this is a reminder to everybody, as you're watching, if you have a comment for me or for Caz, you can drop it in a comment. We can pull you into the stream and have some fun that way. Shifting gears, this is a good, not so much good news example like buying groceries for somebody, but I think just a good reminder as we are coming off Thanksgiving and into Christmas and the other winter holidays. I saw this article, and this ties into what we're going to talk about together with what you do, Caz. That's why I picked it as well. So this article is talking about a survey that revealed what would make employees work harder if their bosses did one simple thing. So what's interesting is, it might seem like simple, right? But I'm gonna come down here and highlight it. But when asked what they'd love to hear more at work, A simple thank you topped the list. I appreciate you doing that. Came in second, and that was helpful came in third. And then being told that your time is valuable and that you exceeded expectations rounded out the top. So again, it just, I know we're on LinkedIn Live right now in addition to Facebook and YouTube. So people that are watching over there, it's easy to get swept up in the end of the year. How did you do on your budget? You've got to get into 2021 planning and forecasting and all the business side. But the number one asset in your business is your people. And the fact that it takes a survey to say, hey, people want to hear thank you more or that your time's valuable is sort of sad. It's something that we shouldn't so easily forget. So it's just a reminder for everybody. It was just Thanksgiving. If you didn't tell your team you were thankful for everything they did and all the hard work they're doing, make that a priority today, and it can have a huge impact on how they show up for you during the workday. So I thought that was a good reminder. What do you think about that, Caz?
I think a great way to look at that is, besides saying thank you to them, is it not as being a leader who is thankful. And so when you have that true gracious attitude, it comes through. The people know that. Dale Carnegie said the greatest sound anybody ever hears is the sound of their name. And I'm a vicious reader and learner when it comes to leadership. And I never looked at myself as a leader. But as I started learning more, I was like, I'm learning a lot more. And at age 66, I'm still ready to learn a lot more. But
just getting started.
That grateful heart, that thankful heart really is where it starts, because leadership really starts with you and me.
Well, with that, we're going to make it all about you for the remainder of this stream here, Caz. So I know who you are. We haven't quite told everybody exactly what you do yet. I always think people are the best at saying it themselves versus me trying to butcher a synopsis. So why don't you give us the elevator pitch of sorts? Who is Caz Russell? What do you do? And we'll have some more conversations around the topics you just started talking about.
Well, my wife and I reside here in Central PA, and I'm retired from the electric industry after 37 years. But even before I retired, I knew that I wanted to still keep helping people and teaching and training, and that includes myself, because the teacher always learns as much as the student. So I started CazRussell.com, a leadership speaker, teacher, trainer, coach, and just trying to use my years of experience. And I like to say I went to college twice, but I didn't graduate either time. That's sort of my punchline. And so the last 6 years, I've been building my own business. CazRussell.com is where I offer keynote speaking, inspirational messages, motivation. Really goes back to what you were saying about, complimenting people at work. And it's amazing when we find out what drives them. It's not so much what drives Caz, but what drives them. And so when you look at that every day, a lot of people look at saying thank you as a soft skill, but I call it a people skill. And it's very important. Even in your marriage, it's very important to have that grateful, thankful attitude and to share that. And people see that right from your heart.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that. From your perspective, how do people start that, right? Let's say people are watching this right now and they aren't that way. They don't think of themselves that way, and they're not quite sure how to implement it. What's a way that we start to incorporate what you just said into our daily lives?
It's going to be a great lead into my first book. I never dreamt of writing a book until I started teaching and seeing people's eyes light up. So leadership has many definitions. Dwight Eisenhower to all kinds of leaders have come up with it. But to me, it's really influencing myself and others just to grow to your full potential. So in that thought, how do I don't want my personality different. I don't want, if I have a crew of people, if I have those around me, I don't want their personalities different. But I want us to work as a team. So I think we have to identify in ourselves, where's my strong points, and then work on them. Now that might sound a little odd. We might say, let's work on our weak points, but it's much harder to go in school from an F to an A. It's much easier to go from a C to an A. So thinking about that, I want to identify my strong points and utilize them as a leader, because leaders influence people. My mother was a leader. She supplied, groceries, food, taught me. That's leadership. And she cared from the heart. How many people really remember their first grade teacher?
I
I
think
bet you
most
most,
people, yeah.
yeah, because they left an impression on your life. And that's what they were, that was their purpose in life. So
Right.
when you look at Mark Twain says the two greatest days of anybody's life is the day you're born and the day you know why. So it took me 60 years to know my why, my purpose in life, and that is helping others. What a great Thanksgiving message. And what happens is when you give and give as a leader, you grow yourself even more and it becomes second nature. So I wrote this book called Nuggets. And in it, I have 19 nuggets that share things that I needed to learn as a supervisor, because there's two different things there, supervisor and leader. There's two different things,
Right.
because many of us have had supervisors that really didn't lead us and had my interest at their heart. It's very easy as a supervisor to get the job done, but how do we, your comment about the most important asset, how do we develop people? How do we keep people in today's world? And how do we build those relationships? And so this book is meant to say some things that you might not have looked at before, the things that you can change yourself, but you got to work on them. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's very hard. And I learned that a long time ago. When you try to do a big project, what do you got to do? Break it down in pieces, do it one step at a time.
Right.
So as a speaker and a writer, I'm constantly learning little bits to go from that C to an A.
Sure. Yeah. So let's look at that book here. Here it is. Nuggets, What Training My Dogs Has Taught Me About Life and Leadership by Caz Russell. Guys can pick this up on Amazon. Again, we'll put the links to it in the comments after we're done. How do the dogs fit into everything you just said? Where did that come into play?
It's interesting. I've always been a dog person, and my dad was a dog person. And so I wanted to start training retrievers to retrieve objects. And as I did, I started finding out is how does a human connect with a canine, and how does a canine connect with a human? So I started training dogs, and number one is by spending time with them. And what a great leadership principle with your people. Those people that you are leading is just spending time with them, finding out their pain point, their pinch points, finding out what they like and don't like, where do they want to succeed in life? Because when you invest in those people, just like I was investing in the dog training, I found that I needed to change my style. I needed to learn leadership skills. So as I would train my dog to learn to be obedient, to learn to retrieve objects, whistle commands, hand signals, I come home after about 2 years when I was using a professional trainer, and I said to my wife, I said, I have an idea here. It's amazing watching these dogs do their thing, what they were born and bred to do. It's their personality. I don't want my dog's personality different. I just want them to behave in the house properly. I want them to behave when company comes to the house. And so I started writing down these principles that I was learning every day. And it didn't happen. I mean, you don't learn a principle per day. It took me 2 years to first learn all these 19. And I sort of modeled it after the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership from John Maxwell, which is my favorite book. And it has really helped me become a better father, grandfather, uncle, leader. Am I there yet? Absolutely not. I'm a constant reader. In high school, I read this many books. So I did every book report the night before from the inside cover. I was an A student, but I got C grades. I never realized my potential or my purpose. So now I feel like I have been training myself so much to help others to be motivated, to inspire, and just to grow to their full potential. Yeah, everybody's awesome. Different, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a different.
Everybody's different. And playing everybody's strengths versus their weaknesses, right? You're not trying to make them into you. You're trying to make them into a better version of themselves.
Yeah, I don't want to be a speaker like some of the great speakers. I just want to be my own style and those people that connect. And so the book has really been an awesome experience, as you know from writing your book. What a complicated process, but I'm really excited about it. And I got 3 more rolling around here ready to get writing. And
it's awesome.
Yeah. So at age 60, I like to say at age 66, I'm just getting rolling.
Yeah, I love that. And what I love about that too, I think a lot of people forget that, right? I feel like there's that misconception that you hit a certain age and you're done, right? You're just sitting on the rocking chair and sipping your lemonade, watching the sunset, right? But you're never too old to start, right? You wrote your first book at 66, and how many people never write their first book? And I hope people take that as as something that gets them fired up, right? That I wrote my first book at 30, you wrote yours at 66. Like you said, there is no one right way. It's just you have to do it and do what's right for you. And I think it's a great example.
I didn't necessarily want to be successful. I mean, I think everybody wants to be successful, but this book was in my heart, and I wanted to get it out there because I feel like I learned so much, both from learning it and from writing it.
Right.
And it's amazing how reading is a lost skill. I mean, they say the most successful people in the world are readers. So when you're not a natural born reader, that's what I call myself, not a natural born reader. I've had to learn that. It's just like training a dog inch by inch. So I try every morning to get up and read. After you get yourself ready for the day. Now, being retired, I don't have to hustle off to work like some people, but I do want to concentrate on 15 or 20 minutes of reading. Then I like to write, whether it's an article for the newspaper or it's an article for a magazine. I just start writing down the morning inspiration. I recently wrote one about a bird on a wire. I was sitting on the front porch and saw this bird up on a wire, and it just started inspiring me. So it's amazing when you sit down and write how it releases so much out of you.
Totally. Yeah. And you have to, one question I get, I'm sure you've gotten this too, is how did you write a book? Or you wrote every day. What if you weren't motivated to write every day, right? And if you have to sit down and just write in order for inspiration to come, the way I phrased it is like, you can't force inspiration, but it has to know where to find you. And it's not going to know where to find you if you don't show up every day in the same spot and say, hey, I'm here, I'm writing, right? And then it comes. So sometimes just the act of you have to write for 20 minutes and it might be total garbage. And then all of a sudden, minute 21, that's when that lightning bolt strikes. And the next 20 minutes are gold. So you just have to do it. Like you said, you have to do it every day and build that habit, and then it will come.
Absolutely. And you don't worry about wordsmithing. You don't worry about spaces. You just put your thoughts down on paper. And it's amazing how it releases your mind to think of other things. And all of a sudden, Myles comes. I was reading on Facebook and Myles pops up. I thought, no, that would be interesting. I have not done a podcast. And I do really thank you for that. It's just another quiver, another arrow in your quiver.
Right.
You just keep adding to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're talking about hustling off to a day job. I'm one of those people that still has to do that. So we have 6 minutes left, and so I've got 2. So I'm going to move forward into weekly resources and challenges, and then we'll throw your book up one more time. So if you guys have watched this before, every single week I like to give you a resource you can take with you and a challenge to hopefully motivate you to do something positive out in the world instead of just watching this or listening to this and these stories of positivity. So the weekly resource this week, I've had a lot of people ask me where I find these stories I just showed, a couple of them, right? And so I figured I'd share that as a resource this week. So if you are in need of a pick-me-up at any point in the week or day, not just Monday mornings with me, this is the site that I often go to. And it's just an aggregator that pulls positivity from all over the web, and it's called thegoodnewsnetwork.org. And so if you need some faith in humanity restored, you can go over to that website, and there's lots of different stories that you can draw from. And so that's the resource this week to share with all of you, goodnewsnetwork.org. When I share a couple examples I gave earlier in the comments, you'll notice that's where they're from. And so you can search the rest of that website as well. And then the weekly challenge this week, I'm just copying what I did last week because I still think it's relevant, is that this week the challenge is to go bless somebody. It's the example we gave of the woman buying groceries. Last week I used the example of paying for somebody's coffee. The season of Thanksgiving doesn't need to end after the day of Thanksgiving is gone. So we can be those forces of positivity out in the world. You can be that headline that somebody else is reading on the Good News Network, but really the goal should be to do it for the sake of doing it, not to get in the news. So go forth this week and be that positive force for somebody else. Buy the coffee, buy the groceries, tell somebody, thank you, I appreciate you, like the tip about how to get engagement in the workplace. Just go and try to focus on what's one thing I can do every single day to bless somebody else. And that's the challenge this week, to take positivity offline out of this conversation and out into the world. And that's it, Caz. You did your first live stream. What do you think?
It's awesome. Inch by inch is a cinch. I like your disciplined message for the morning and reading. And it's a matter of identifying what you want to grow in your personal life.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Well, that'll do it for this rendition of Monday Morning with Myles. I'll leave you as I always do with a simple go crush it this week. Fire emoji. Set fire to your life in your own, in a good way, not a bad way. But get fired up and set fire to your life this week and every week. Appreciate you joining us. And we'll see you guys next Monday.